All right. Let us move on to One Piece chapter 967, Roger's adventure. So now I got to be honest here. I mean, a lot of stuff happened in this chapter. I
True.
think
Like a lot.
for yeah, for like the core One Piece fans, like this is probably a major chapter
Yeah.
because a lot of things, a lot of the blanks are getting filled in with what Roger's been doing and his whole journey. To me, I think the one that probably the section that added the most meat was the section I cared the least about, which is Fishman Island, because that was the arc I didn't really enjoy the most of One Piece. So all the stuff they were adding here, like I paid attention to, but because I didn't pay attention to that arc on the whole, like it didn't carry as much weight. Um, I loved the part where like they met Tom again and you saw
Yeah.
Frankie. Little bit disappointed that Frankie didn't call back to any of that yet, but maybe it's just
Mm-hmm.
because like so much stuff has been happening in Wano. I don't know if they've had enough interactions with the Minks, but I feel like Frankie should at least remember the cat and dog because they were on this journey too.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't call back to that early on, but whatever. That was just my own little story thing. The stuff with Odin and the going and getting all the polygriffs, I was paying attention to. But like I said, like light reading most of this stuff, and then the tale, the island at the end. To me, my issue is that I feel like what happened here is making that theory I had a while ago seem more tangible now, which is that when Luffy and all of them finally get to the final island, there may be treasure there or something like that. But really, it's going to be about like the purpose of the story is going to be about the journey to get there and not actually One Piece.
Yeah.
So they'll probably end up doing something very similar to this where everyone is just fucking laughing and they're just like, the end. Like you guys should have got this about the journey. So seeing that part at the end made me call to that. And then the other thing was, Buggy did not go with them right to this last island.
No, he didn't.
Okay, so that's another thing to call out, which is that he doesn't know the end. Really, he's the only person on Watcher's crew that probably doesn't know
No, no,
that.
Shanks doesn't know either. Shanks
Oh,
doesn't know
Shanks
about
didn't
it.
go.
No, he stayed behind because Buggy didn't go.
Oh, okay, I missed that. But yeah, so both of them don't really know what's at the end. Um, so that's actually pretty good for the story. So most of the people that are we've met and have seen the end um, are not major players in the story. Like Riley's kind of hanging out in the background. He's not an active pirate. Shanks is, so he's actually trying to go there himself. So yeah, no, this is interesting. Any comments?
I mean, but is Shanks trying to go though?
It's
Because
hard to see
I
his.
would think that the man is just chilling.
Oh, really? I think he's still looking for it. I think the reason probably why he also was like, nah. See, you said he said if we are gonna go there, we'll take our own ship someday. So I
Mm-hmm.
still think it's in his mind to finish the journey. He probably, has a leg up on everyone because he's seen pretty much everything but the last island.
Yep.
So I
Mm.
think maybe his journey, he ended up as he grew up. We'll probably find this out later in the story, but as he grew up as a character, he probably generated more interest in this like void century and the dynamic between the world government and the pirates or the D's, and
Mm-hmm.
probably was like, let me explore that more because we keep seeing his interact. He has like a relationship with the government, which we were
Mm-hmm.
all kind of surprised to see. So I think maybe that's more of his purpose than One Piece because One Piece is like, it's for what we're understanding, it's just like a bunch of treasure and shit, and maybe some answers to some questions. But I think Shanks has gotten most of the answers on his journey with Roger, unless I'm mistaken from this chapter. It seemed like they were able to find out about the Will of D and everything before they went to the island, or was that after?
It's hard to say technically. They don't make a clear translation to say when they learned about every single thing when he made that
Got it.
last note.
I would assume it
Got
was after they saw the treasure and all that
the
shit.
final island. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, yeah. So then Roger. I mean, so then Shanks probably does not know much about the D's and stuff. So he might be curious all of that. Who knows?
Unless Roger was walking around talking about it to the rest of his crew. That's also
Yeah, but I'm assuming after this he went ahead and got sick and died. That's my assumption. My assumption is like this happened, and then like probably a month or so later, like this nigga died.
I mean, but right after they left the island, I'm pretty sure that they were all at least chilling around for a little bit, talking about it. Like, man, it was a good ass, adventure and all this shit. You remember
Yeah.
this, remember that, reminiscing and all of this shit.
Well, remember with Luffy though, because when they read up on Silvers, and he was like, "Yo, I wanna," you know what I mean? Like, Usopp was like, "Let me know about One Piece," and then Luffy was like, "Shut up." It could be something very similar to that, where because the way they were setting up Blackbeard, Buggy, and Shanks was like they're apprentices learning how to be pirates and will eventually get their own crews. So Shanks could have been like, "Nah, nigga, let me find it out on my own. Like, don't tell me these things."
I can see that.
Oh.
You never know.
The
But
other part
I
to
respect
note
it.
also is Roger's title of King of Pirates. I just remember this from like our interview with Sensei, because we were talking about feats and characters and shit like that. But we can like clearly see here Roger's feat of the King of Pirates doesn't really come from strength. It's really like accomplishments.
Right.
So I still think there's a strength aspect to it, but obviously, like here, this title seems like it's primarily coming from like what he was able to accomplish in the pirate world, as far as like things he was able to see and the stuff he was able to do. So for those One Piece fans out there, that's like King of Pirates, he's the strongest thing out there. Well, doesn't necessarily mean that, guys. that's all.
Just like Dragon's whole, most wanted man in the world rank doesn't make him the strongest character in the story either.
True.
Yeah, but
Just to point
I
that
got
out.
that off Robin too, though, because when Robin's bounty was like super high because of like what happened to her, I was like, oh, okay, so you could just be wanted for kind of information and shit
Yeah.
that you hold, not because of actual strength.
Now I have a quick question for you guys, and I guess for the listeners as well. If Odin was alive, would he be a Yonko?
I would see him as two things because he went to the end of the journey. So my thing is, I would see him more as a Silvers kind of guy. But if he was an active pirate, he would definitely be Yonko status for sure.
Yeah.
I don't see how
to be able
he
to
would all the second commands. Who would he not win against? You know.
You said out of all the second in commands, who he not
Yeah,
won against?
I'm just thinking about the second commands we know today. When we saw Odin, Marco was like a young kid, so I think Odin would drop him now if Odin was still alive. Minus like this is taking away the old age bias because in this shonen like you old somehow you're nerfed like 50% or some bullshit. But but yeah, taking away the old age bias, I think he would beat Marco. Definitely Dogtooth. I don't see how that wouldn't be an easy win for Odin. And then King of Fire, we don't know much about yet, but my assumption is like we'll see how we're probably gonna see like Odin's interaction with Kaido at some point. But I'm assuming like when Kaido first showed up, he was probably sunning Kaido, so I don't see how he would lose to King of Fire.
Yeah.
So off that, I think that would give him a place as a Yonko.
No, agreed. I mean, at least for a hot second, for him to be able to clash with Whitebeard in the first place, I mean, you gotta put respect on his name for that. Period.
Well, so here's the thing that confused. This the reason that I asked this. When he first met Whitebeard, yeah, they clashed or whatever, and it made it look like Whitebeard was struggling. But then later on, what was it like? Probably like a couple years later or whatever, when they all ran into Roger for the first time. When this nigga tried to run up on Roger, Roger sent that nigga flying with ease with one arm. And then Whitebeard ran up instantly right afterwards, and those niggas actually had a real clash, and you can definitely tell that they were both struggling with that. So I was wondering, like, was Whitebeard really showing his strength, or was he just trying to gauge where he was?
No, I think that Whitebeard was showing his strength, but I just think we probably misinterpreted the chapter thinking Odin was on his level because it was like right after that he became his subordinate. So I was like already like, okay, he's up there, but he's not because like basically the way I saw Odin was like a human living in a land of Legos. Like Wano, he never really got his strength tested. He
Right.
was always the strongest nigga in the room. So versus like Whitebeard, he was probably like, oh, like you have maybe like the physical or hockey strength to be considered on my level, but you still have a long way to go in terms of what you need to know. And then just consider his position versus everyone else that's a Yonko now at that time. Shanks, Blackbeard, all were basically children at this point. Definitely wouldn't have been able to have hands against against Odin at the time. So if he was around now, like I feel like he'd have to just go into retirement because he just was strong enough to be a renowned name of their age. But if he had like was able to live to this day and age, he would just be too old to like want to participate. He already finished his journey, like he got to explore the world. He saw his life. I think he would just hang back and be like similar to what Silver's was to Luffy. It's just like another training arc. But like he was up there. Like he should have been top 3 in Whitebeard's crew, I would think. I don't know everybody else's powers like that, but just off what he was able to do to Whitebeard and the feats in his own country, I would think he's at least one of the top 3 in Whitebeard's crew at that time he was there. Would y'all disagree?
No.
So if Odin is Yonko level, then Rayleigh is also Yonko level.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt.
So you're saying he could throw hands with one of the Yonko and potentially
yeah, but
win.
you also have to consider the time frame though. You know what I'm saying? So it's like at that point when Silver's was at his prime, like all these Yonko niggas was like little kids. And now
Yeah.
the reason why I would think he would lose to a Yonko is only because of like them playing the old age thing. They would play the old age card to make him lose. But if he was like prime Silver's versus like Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard now, I think he would be able to hold his own.
Oh, of course.
I think he would be able to hold his own. So I would say, yeah, he's Yonko level. But this whole thing is the age thing. Like we were talking about that with Sensei too. Like if you're talking about admirals now versus admirals then, I assume Kuzan, Aokiji, and those are the same people. Aokiji, Akenu, and Kizaru are all stronger now than they were when they were technically the 3 admirals then. You know what I'm saying? And I assume the 3 admirals we have now are their strength level back then when they were the 3 admirals. So it's hard to gauge it because it's like he wasn't a Yonko in terms of like his generation, but he's definitely Yonko power level in the generation behind him because he was like he knows more about the world, definitely stronger than them niggas, but he probably can't go toe to toe because of the age. He's technically not in his prime anymore.
Right. That was the reason that I asked it. But
yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay. I didn't know that y'all would also consider Rayleigh to still be able to be a Yonko if he wanted to be an active pirate. But
yeah. I mean, I mean, even if you throw age into it, I mean, Whitebeard was old as balls, but he was still Yonko. I mean, like, so to say,
yeah, but he was also at a higher tier than, but he was also at the next tier above Rayleigh and the other second in command guys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, but it's like tough to say. But okay, so if y'all had to guess, like when all like let's say like back to like the OG Yonko that we know of, Whitebeard, Big Mom, Shanks, Kaido. Of what we know right now, how would you say that Yonko list was top to bottom would go?
Okay, so you're taking Shanks off.
I'm pretty much saying like to rank the Yonko. I know we don't have a ton of info, but based on the info we have now, when Whitebeard, like let's still old, but like when Whitebeard was old, we got Whitebeard, Big Mom, Shanks, Kaido. How do you think that ranking would go?
I would go Kaido, Shanks, Big Mom, Whitebeard. Really? Just because Whitebeard is so damn old and sick.
Yeah, was he still sick?
Like he would eventually cross.
Wow, because I would low key put Whitebeard at the top, low key.
Is Whitebeard still sick? That's the question for me in this list that you're saying.
Wait, what?
Is Whitebeard sick in this list or not sick?
In your hypothetical situation, is Whitebeard sick?
I mean, definitely old, sick. Sick's a little debatable. I mean, like, well, we don't know how long he was really sick for. So I guess for the sake of argument, yes, sick.
All right, if he's sick, I was. Ooh, it's tough. I would argue he's over Big Mom, but they got to be close. It's real close. Like either one of them could take that spot. But I would say from the next gen, 1v1, just because of the way the order of the fights are going, oh, this is tough. Oh, it's tough. To me, I think Kaido and Shanks are over Big Mom and Whitebeard just because they're younger. Like I said, I think this old thing plays a heavy role in terms of being able to beat the Yonko. So I think they're over. It's Kaido was labeled strongest creature, but once again, like Roger was labeled. I'm sorry, not Roger. Whitebeard was labeled strongest in the world, but it doesn't mean
Strongest
that he
man.
can't lose. Yeah, strongest man in the world, but doesn't mean he can't lose crew versus crew. My expectation is that Shanks' crew is way more experienced than Kaido's from what I'm seeing. I just feel like the division of power is way more even. Like there's way more strong niggas at the top than Kaido's thing. Kaido is just like Kaido, Queen, him, and Jack. And then after that, it just seems like the it's just very top heavy. It doesn't seem very balanced in terms of strong niggas. Shanks crew, I totally think it's hella way more strong niggas at the top, just from like the Blackbeard face to face. So I think Shanks is above Kaido if we're talking crew versus crew. Then Kaido, then Big Mom just because Whitebeard's sick, then Whitebeard.
Damn.
That's how I think of it. Whitebeard does have some cold niggas in his crew, but I don't think we got them showcased enough in the battle because I'm a little bit disappointed knowing Rose Vista and all of them were there back then, and then thinking about what I saw in the war. You know what I'm saying?
Huh.
So when you think
them,
about
they should have been silver level.
so when you think about somebody's strength as a Yonko, you think about the strength of their crew. Then in that case, so if we were to say if I were to ask the question if Odin would be a Yonko in today's age, then in that case we would be considering him plus his whole crew, which we would automatically assume would be the Scabbards.
Yeah,
right?
and then but then you also gotta put 20 years of respect on their name too. So
all of them niggas?
No, they got time skip though. Remember, a lot of them time skip, so they would have had 20 years to develop their strengths. So Kinemon now is like he's still 20 years behind what he actually would have been. So I could see them definitely forming a solid crew. Like think about what King and them.
So he would have been like the Sabo of the crew, basically.
Yeah, because the dog and cat were like babies in the crew in a sense, right? They're able to go toe to toe with Jack. So now imagine those, the littlest niggas, was able to go toe to toe with Jack. Like, you know what I mean? Just put that 20 years of respect on the other niggas. Like they will be up there.
That's
I can see that. And yeah, nigga would be a Yonko.
Yeah, I mean, I love chapters like this because of what it does. So like, it allows us to have conversations like this about the One Piece world. These are like the power of the flashbacks to me. Is like you get to kind of see where people were placed back then, and it helps you put into perspective some of the stuff going on now, and then like predict for like Luffy's crew and stuff like that. So I like this chapter a lot for that, for sure. Y'all got anything else y'all want to talk about, or want to rate?
Checking out trying to make sure we're not. Yeah, there was a lot of mermaid stuff too, but I'm trying to think if anything was truly important though.
I mean, he was talking the same hype shit about the man's daughter, just like Luffy was.
True.
Trying to get it crack-a-lacking.
Trying to think. You think they're ever really gonna explain Joy Boy? As far as like how deep they're really gonna go into who Joy Boy was?
The question would be who else would the person who would do that would be Shanks. He could be the only person I would see would be close enough to be able to explain that. Maybe that's what his journey is. right? Because I would assume that whoever we're gonna get the explanation from him for has to be close to Roger, right? Whitebeard's gone; he's out the picture. I'm assuming none of his youth know about it like that. Would be able to give us that type of knowledge. So only person I would see is like, what if Shanks made that his quest to kind of understand this Joe Boy guy more, and then that's the guy we get it from. Either that or somebody in the world government, like a Gorosei or something like that. But it has to be an old nigga to explain it.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty much it for me, at least. I'm good.
All right. You got anything, Gramps?
Nah, that's it. I did a quick read through and didn't see anything.
Let's go ahead and rate it real quick. I would give this a solid. I don't want to bias it too much, but I would give it definitely a decent plus to decent as hell. Like I said, to me, I just am not a big fan of the Fishman Island arc. So that was like a good chunk of this chapter. So I didn't get much value out of what I read there. But as far as like what this does, this chapter is monumental for really explaining Roger's journey, which has been a story question for what 900 fucking chapters now. So I think it's huge what happened. I wouldn't give it a lip, but definitely a decent plus decent as hell. What it does, its impact on the story.
Mm. No, same. I'll give it. I'm debating. I'll probably give it a decent as hell minus. It was good to get like some answers. It's always good. Wasn't action enough, so I couldn't give it a straight decent as hell, but definitely giving it a minus because as you said, it does look like that final One Piece is just gonna be you completed the journey, and then like One Piece is gonna end. So because of thinking about it like that, it's like, wow. I mean, they could have been a little bit more creative, but hopefully they are. You know what? Never know. Never know. But at least right now, those are definitely the vibes we're seeing. So it looks like it's going to close, like the series is going to close up like super, 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 super shonen-y. So it's like, oh, well.
Yeah, I would have given it a decent as hell, just because I really appreciate the pacing that they're giving us these chapters, given that we're still, as a reminder, we're still in the flashback. We've been in the flashback for a hot little minute. I definitely appreciated the fact that that they kind of paced it kind of quickly, getting through these chapters, well, getting through this flashback, because I'm pretty sure everybody wants to get back to the present and see what the hell is happening to Luffy and the rest of the gang. So I really enjoyed that, but I wasn't, just like you guys are saying, I was not really a big fan of the whole way everybody reacted to seeing finally getting to the treasure at the end of it. Yeah, it really makes me feel like I'm going to be disappointed once Luffy actually gets to the One Piece and shit and becomes the Pirate King. Unless the man is like half dead, like lost a couple of limbs and all of that shit, everybody's like barely surviving. They get to this treasure and something amazing happens from it, whatever. Yeah. I don't really think we're gonna end up satisfied.
What if they do all that and they still just start laughing at the end? Like they're beat up, they don't get healed at all. It's just niggas are dead, lost limbs, and then they just start fucking laughing.
And then they just die. And they're laughing.
If they end the series without answering the question, that'd be so done. Oh my god.
Crazy.
That'd be some Pulp Fiction shit.
Facts.
For real though. Like, was it gold or what? Like,
yeah. Shit, that low key Luffy was Roger the whole time. We didn't realize it. We was like watching Roger's story from the beginning. Didn't realize it. That's crazy.
No, dude, stop.